Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I have another wonderful International Hug Day interview that I'm so excited to present. I would like to pivot now to Emma and Pablo and have you both introduce yourselves, your name, the company name, and where you're located.
Hey.
Hey there.
Yeah, so we're Emma and Pablo. We're part of the Cuddle Couple, and we are located in Toronto, Canada. Yeah, so we started this actually in the summer. So we actually started this during COVID as a way, like one of the main reasons was as a way to help people during COVID and through COVID. And it's been such a journey since. It's been wonderful.
What are your titles that you use, if you have any titles? For instance, I call myself a platonic touch practitioner.
Yeah, I guess we offer, I guess, like cuddle therapists sort of thing. Like that's generally what we land on.
Yeah.
Cuddle therapists?
Yeah.
Okay. So you weren't doing any kind of cuddle or touch work prior to this summer or this past summer?
No, not cuddle therapy specifically. But I had more experience with like leading sort of different dance events and different touch-based events and attending different events and these sort of things. And yeah, I think, yeah, like that's kind of what inspired a lot for me, like kind of getting into cuddle therapy. But yeah, I mean, like as well, like it's just with COVID coming up, like we were thinking to wait after COVID, but then it's like, well, this feels like a huge time that people would need that sort of affection, that sort of time, whether it's virtually in person. We just want to let people know that we're there.
Oh, that's awesome. And when you say touch-based events, what does that look like? What was that?
Well, I would host some classes and some workshops around, kind of exploring touch and consent, exploring like kind of the physical, like the general physics of the body, like trying to lean more into the improvisational movement that can happen when you're moving in space. Like, and I'm thinking more like a dance atmosphere, and also just like body exploration. So I bring that together in the therapy as well, in the cuddling service.
Yeah, we met through dance, and we're both big dancers. So a lot of our community and the people that we knew together up until this point have been a lot in the dance community and the movement community, and we also know some dance therapists, some movement therapists. So we've been kind of in that world already. But yeah, it was only in the summer that we officially, like, formally called ourselves Cuddle Therapists and started the Cuddle Couple.
Yeah. Oh, that's incredible. A close colleague of mine, Sam Vernon, it's interesting to talk to her because she's talked a bit about her experience as a ballroom dancer, and I believe she did competition, but the consent that goes into dancing and how that can be transferred in also the touch movement or our consent movement that we're in right now, how it's one of the same. So it's really interesting that you are already in that, learning about consent as you're touching, and the therapy aspect as well.
Yeah, and we do a type of dance that's very contact based. It's contact improv, and so it's improvised movements with people. And for me, it's like, my experience with it brought up so much. I learned not only about consent and about boundaries, but about like rejection and like, how do I approach this person? How, like, I felt all sorts of things if like they stopped to dance with me, which is something that you do, but like it brought up all sorts of feelings. So like working through this whole dance, like contact improv environment, there was tons surrounding touch that came up emotionally too. For me, at least.
That's interesting. I haven't heard of contact improv environment or contact improv, and I'm totally going to Google that when we're done, so I can have a better idea.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah, and I don't want to get too much into the dance, but I came from a very formal type of dance training, like ballet and primarily ballet, and moving into like a completely improvised type of dancing was like a really cool change. And
what was touch to you growing up?
Touch, like I always felt like it, I always internally felt like it was something that was very important to me, and I always felt like the kind of lovey-dovey person, but I didn't get that growing up. My family just didn't put much importance on it. And so, yeah, so I just felt like it was something that was missing for a long time. And I think that a lot of my friendships and relationships out of that kind of felt, in retrospect, they felt a bit cold. Well, very cold, actually. Like I didn't really know it so much at the time because it was what I was used to, but they felt cold and a bit distant. And it's actually when I found contact improv that I was like, whoa. Like I was suddenly getting touched a lot. Like it could even be like arm to arm or anything. Like I just felt like, even with the floor, I felt like I was getting so much touch, and it just brought up so much. It brought up like, oh my gosh, I've been missing this. Like, where has this been my whole life? And so I feel like that really is what kind of pivoted things for me and got me more into this world, is just like realizing, yeah, I've been missing this so much. And now I'm really enjoying having people that are also really touch friendly and really into like just cuddles and touch. So yeah, it was a very big contrast to what I had grown up with.
Emma, let me ask you, did you have a transition period, having grown up without a lot of hugs and touches? My mother is very affectionate with us growing up. And then moving into this world where people were touching, and you were like, wow, was there some kind of transition that you had to, what comes to mind is kind of like reframe or get a grip of what was happening and how you were processing that?
It was very confusing because I really wanted it, but it was, for me personally, it's not like this for everyone, but for me personally, it was bringing up a lot of feelings. And I didn't really have anyone to talk to about all this. And so I, like, even for a while, when I was starting to receive this touch, for a while, I was really like falling in love with every person I danced with, like completely. And I thought they were completely in love with me because I was like, we just had, like these things, and I didn't have anyone to talk to about it. So I actually stopped for a year because it just became a little bit overwhelming. I just didn't know how to process any of this. And this is something that we do as cuddle therapists, is help people understand, help people process what their body is feeling, what their body is telling them. If they are wanting more touch, it's like dealing with whatever may come up as they're receiving more touch. Yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot. Like in sessions, and we'll mention on the website, we'll mention on Instagram. Yeah, just how, a lot of different feelings come up associated with touch. It's not that every session or every person is going to immediately have some sort of big, deep transitional thing or some trauma or something, but something could come up. There might be a curiosity of like, oh, like even a curiosity of like, oh, I'm paying for this as a service. I'm looking for affection as a service. That can be a barrier, and kind of noticing like, okay, the other side of that though is like, wait, I'm paying for affection. Like I'm valuing affection, and there's a certain quality of affection that I'm lacking and I'm really looking for, and I'm looking for this kind of connection. And yeah, I feel like services like what you and we offer really kind of provide that space that validates and affirms that there are levels of affection and care and presence that are seldom found in most of our lives.
And we're just helping people to explore that whole range of non-sexual intimacy and see what that feels like, and see how that expresses itself in their lives, really, or wants to.
Pablo, you hit something there by saying that people are recognizing that they need intimacy or they need touch or affection, I think is what you said. And I find that there are some clients, some people who, and these are even with acquaintances and friends, who will say, I don't know if you've heard people say this, but I'm not going to pay for that. I shouldn't have to pay for that. Why are you monetizing affection? And and how have you handled it if you've been presented with that situation?
I feel like I may have heard that once, or I may have heard it more in inference, more like in discussion, like a question. And for me, I think that's when I start to explain like how we aren't just offering like hugs, for instance. You know, we're offering the presence that comes from two people that are able to be open with new people. And that isn't something that I feel, at least in North America, are often encouraged to do. It's not very easy to be out there with an open heart and without our guards up or anything like that. And so providing a space where you know that as a client, you don't have any strings attached. Like you're not going to potentially make a friend feel weird or make, you know, a potential love interest feel weird or make a family member feel weird. Like you have the freedom to explore movement and touch at your own pace. Like this is a place where you can practice these sort of things. And like there are some people where they don't want that or they don't need that at all, and that's wonderful. But for a lot of other people, spaces where you're able to kind of shake off that nervousness, knowing that you're being invited, you have full permission to just be in your body. That again is also something we're not often encouraged, like spaces where you can just be in our body. We don't have to think as much. We can just feel our bodies, feel our emotions, and just be as we are. It can be very, very rejuvenating.
And some people also, I know I used to see like traditional talk therapists before, and it's hard for me when I don't have any kind of physical contact. So it can also be that. It can be like a space where you feel more open to talk and more open to share through touch, like through feeling like supported and held physically, which some people really value that and need that.
I have found that some people will have guilt associated with it. Let me rephrase that. They'll have shame associated with touch and paying for it and getting it from somebody else. And something that came up in the last interview is that often people, because we haven't been taught about touch, that they'll think that they want sex, when in actuality, what they're really looking for without knowing is that intimacy, that access to vulnerability and consensual touch.
Yeah. And another thing is that I remember when I was even just 20, I had someone tell me in a very irritated way, like, why are you so open? Like, you know, it takes so much for me to, like, when you're here with me and I'm sharing this, like, it's just, why are you able to do that? And all I could hear in her voice, beyond like her own personal pains, was just the complete blind spot that, like, hey, it takes a lot of energy for me to be open with you also. Like, I'm also being vulnerable. I'm also being vulnerable to what may be coming up for you. Like, even this judgment that you're sharing with me right now is pretty big. You know, it's kind of completely dismissing like the time that I'm sharing with you. And so, yeah, in that way too, I feel like, you know, for me, starting this business, like, I really felt like it was also a way that I could offer that sort of space in a facilitated way, in a very clear, boundary oriented way, where we know, just as when you would see a normal therapist, you're going in for that hour, you're going for that 2 hours, and that is your time. You know, that is the time that you have set aside for yourself. That is the time that we have, you know, cooperatively set aside for you as well. And you can just be in that, and you can know that you aren't taking something from us. It's a mutual exchange. It's time that we're both respecting, and we can really focus on whatever's coming up for you.
And that you both are enjoying this session, this process. Because often clients want to know, are you enjoying this too? Because I'm loving it.
We get asked that a lot, or we get asked like, are you sure this is okay? Like, can I share this? Like, am I putting too much on you? Like, it's okay. We like this. We're here for this. Yeah.
That's what this is here for.
Yeah. And I think it's helpful to kind of frame or explain to them the expectations, you know, setting up the boundaries, letting them know what's okay, what's not. Some practitioners that I've met, their sessions are very playful. It's going to be fun time. This is a session because you were never allowed to have fun or play as a child. So here in this space, you can. And typically there's not going to be a lot of trauma talk or any significant deep dives, I want to say, is what I have gathered. Other people just do touching and the talking is to a very minimal. So I think it's helpful when we kind of set that stage and set those boundaries in the session for people.
I mean, we bring a lot into our sessions. We have different experiences, even just our dance and movement experience, but also you have a very strong meditation background. And we both have coaching backgrounds. I have a master's in psych. So like we bring a lot, and it really, we cater really to who the client is. And even from session to session, it may be very different. One session might want to feel more playful, whereas the other one might want to kind of go deeper into the feelings, into like just feeling that. So I think that's why we call ourselves cuddle therapists too, for that reason. Is like we're also there to like provide space and provide any kind of space for healing, if that needs to happen.
Yeah,
really.
I mean, we say it's like, you can enter with a range. You don't have to explore the entire range. You can also just come for a cuddle. Like that's totally fine.
Yeah.
It's not, you don't have to do more than that.
Yeah.
So
Right.
yeah, that's all. Really.
Come as you are.
And I think our clients really appreciate feeling like we're not like making them get somewhere. We're just allowing them to be. It's like they don't have to change. They don't have to grow. They don't have to like heal anything in particular. Like they can just be. And we're just there with them, which a lot of people seem to really appreciate.
And it's interesting that you say, it's dependent on the client. Cuddlist uses in their training client-led sessions. So allowing the client to kind of lead and do what feels natural for them, as opposed to probably more of what my sessions where I kind of lead the client through the process and help them along the way. But it's funny when we're talking about clients, because I've had clients who just wanted to show up and sleep. Like they worked so much, they just wanted to sleep. And that's fine too. What got you into the field of platonic touch or cuddling, professional cuddling, was not just your experience in the dance, but also were you feeling a need for it? Is that what you had mentioned earlier?
So I grew up with a lot of touch. My family's Guatemalan, and there's a lot of touch there, a lot more family, and I think I got pretty lucky because around 17 I started meditating, and I think that helped me focus in on kind of what was important to me. And so when I entered my 20s, I think it was a lot easier for me to immediately start seeking out more community-oriented friends and social circles, and which is for me, like I just came in touch with a lot more people that were more in touch with their bodies and their feelings and able to express this range. So although I didn't experience like the lack of intimate friendships, I did hear a lot about it, and I could also recognize like when someone had different capacities from me or was in a different space than I was, or had different boundaries or different expectations or needs or what have you. So yeah, that's where I'm coming from there. And I think what that kind of led me into is kind of noticing, also because my childhood also wasn't great in other ways. Yeah, when starting this business, I also feel like it was a way to show others that, we don't always have to build ourselves up to be really strong. Like there are places where you can feel supported, we can let things go. And we also don't have to be in a goal-oriented setting either. We can just be as we are. There often, as soon as we enter adulthood, we think, when we're 14, we think it's 16. When we're 16, we think it's 18. But this goal post is constantly moving. And I think something that I was fortunate enough to learn when I was 17 is just that. And so in this, I try to offer a space where you can put down your goals. You can put down your own personal expectations of yourself, these kind of judgments you may have for yourself, and just be here and just allow yourself to be here. And I feel like most of the healing comes from that, from just being able to exist and be accepted as you are.
Yeah, and it just felt like a natural fit and a natural evolution with us together, because we had the dance background, and we had both heard of cuddling and cuddle therapy. We had both been curious about it before even meeting each other, and then we both really connected over this idea, and just we were so cuddly with our friends, with people, with each other, and we both came from very different kind of backgrounds and perspectives on touch, and with COVID happening, with everything, with people feeling also just outside of COVID feeling kind of somewhat disconnected with each other.
Right.
We just thought it would be, and we have very like complementary but different skills as well. So it just kind of evolved naturally that way.
Yeah, and I just remembered that back to the question of like, why would someone pay for cuddling? Yeah, that also came up for me when I was 25 or so. I feel like I heard about cuddling. I'm 32 now, and I kind of had a similar feeling, not in a judgmental way, but like very pragmatically, like I don't need that. Like, why would I pay for that? This is like so. I would never think of this, and yet, 6 years later or 7 years later, I realized like, oh, it's because like I've explored that a lot, and like there are a lot of people that haven't gotten to do that, and it just it made me reevaluate like touch and how much it can be lacking in other people's lives, and how also even if people are in touch with these sort of relationships, they might not really have the space to explore it, for so
Oh,
many.
absolutely. Right. I think in giving themselves permission to explore, having that conversation with a partner or a friend to explore the type of touch. Are you both familiar with The Wheel of Consent by Dr. Betty Martin? Yeah. So I've been meaning to get a poster here, but I'm always talking about it, and giving and receiving touch that's one of the things that I often will tell or suggest to clients to take home with their partner or their friend, and to try to play that 3-minute game of giving and receiving touch, and getting really clear on what they want and what they don't want. I think your meditation background helps you to be present when you're with a client, so kind of mirror that behavior and help them, lead them along the way.
Yeah, we bring that into almost every session, and it's often a way that we start sessions. Like it's a good way to just kind of ground into the current session and just
Focusing on breath.
Become present.
Oh, absolutely. I do a body scan meditation before each session for the client and I, just to kind of ground us, bring us present in our bodies, and leave everything outside.
Yeah.
So let me ask, how have you pivoted or adjusted your business since COVID? Even though you started in COVID, how have things changed from starting in the summer and now we're almost a month into this new year?
Yeah, I mean, we followed the boundaries as they were set, by like throughout Ontario, all the guidelines and whatnot. It was challenging, of course, because like I mentioned earlier, like we would want to just be seeing clients in person all the time and doing all these workshops and all these grand ideas that we have, and like all these experimentations we want to do and all these explorations we want to do with people. But at the heart of it all, we want to offer spaces where people can feel connected with one another, where they can feel seen and they can feel respected wherever they are. I'm someone who really focuses on the process a lot more than the goal, and pretty much everything. I feel like the process, that is life, we're living it. We're living the process presently. And so even when we moved into virtual settings, like as soon as the lockdown started happening, as soon as more restrictions started occurring, I think that's what we brought in more. Like we just kind of doubled down on making sure that the person feels heard, they feel seen, and they feel invited enthusiastically to explore whatever they're feeling, whatever they're thinking, and are invited also to slow down and just kind of be with themselves and breathe into it.
That's what we all need. We all need to slow down.
So we had a kind of a small window of time that we were able to meet people in person with like COVID procedures, safety procedures in place. But yeah, most of the time, and even throughout that time, we were doing virtual sessions as well. And we follow the same, pretty much the same, start, middle, and end, the same format. And we encourage our clients to bring their own blankets and pillows and anything that makes them feel cozy and comfortable. And we've been doing various exercises that are like touch oriented. So it's not all just speaking. It's there is a strong emphasis on the touch aspect. But yeah, it does.
Various exercises virtually, like when you do, okay.
Yeah. So just different.
Yeah. And then another side of it is, sticking to the virtual side, we also have focused a lot on social media and just, getting information out there for people, talking more about what cuddling can be, and like us offering our perspective on that, and also inviting more of that into people's lives. Like I know, like, yes, not all of us have access to another person right now, so a lot of us live alone, but more so, like, I remember a time when I was 22 or so, and it was probably the first time where I'm laying in bed and I put my hand on my heart and my stomach, and I was like, oh, that's what I feel like. That's pretty nice. Like, I get what everyone's raving about, but it was, it's something that we don't really, like, we never think to, like, just be with ourselves in touch. And so we try to invite that a lot more in social media, like just kind of letting people, like, acknowledge that we do have the lack and we have these limitations right now, but also how are there ways that we can bring that touch home with us. Something I like to say is, the COVID has kind of shown us and put it right in our faces that it takes a village, to live. We can't,
Right.
we are on all these islands, and yet now we're isolated. So how do we bring the village home? And so just kind of exploring what can that look like. For us, it looked like getting a lot more plants, baking a lot more, getting fish, dancing in our living room, all these sorts of little things. But
a transition as we move to kind of post-COVID times. We just spoke to someone who said that he like bubbled with another friend of his, and they were able to hug because they've decided like they're going to be in each other's bubble, and they hugged, and he said he didn't feel anything. So it, like he didn't feel much, whereas like he was really expecting to feel a lot more after so long of not hugging like a close like friend. So I think there's going to be a transition time for people of realizing, okay, what do we want after this? Like, are we going to have people to like, are we going to have the right people that we want to hug? Like, are we like, what do we want afterwards, and how is that going to look like, and what do we want to feel like what changes do we want to make? So there's a lot of like spoken things as well that are important to look at kind of as we move towards those times.
As we move towards opening up again. Oh yeah, I think this is going to have significant effects on people who perhaps were already touch adverse. Now, those people on top of other people who are just scared and of getting COVID, or not used to touching, getting back into being around people. I remember when I first left my house after being shut in for 2 months with my kids. I have 3 children, so we cuddle and we hug and play, and I got that touch. But being back out at a grocery store, because people would bring food because I didn't want to leave. Being back out in a grocery store was a bit intense, and that's and also going from working regularly every week, holding sessions, and then to no touch. If you're going from 15 hours a week to 0 hours a week, that's a significant dent in the amount of touch that I was getting. So how other people are going to be doing that, and are they taking care of themselves throughout this entire social distancing? Are they doing things that are healthy? Meditation, getting exercise, talking, connecting with people, whatever it might be, journaling. I don't think a lot of people are doing that. They're just trying to survive. And so once the world does open up, there's going to be definitely a huge adjustment that they'll have to relearn and get used to. Something that we're really
trying our best to show through social media is like the positive, like there's so much negativity, there's so much that we've had to deal with this past year. So we're trying to be that kind of corner of the internet that is positive and that, you know, makes people feel good and feel cozy and warm. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the kind of person that I'm very comfortable talking about the more controversial stuff, like on my own. But the thing is that what I've really been noticing is that more than ever now, like between the media as it normally can be and how times are, yeah, I feel like it just kind of made me want to emphasize, like, take a lot more time to talk about things that could be a little bit more uplifting, be more encouraging, be more optimistic. Because I feel like, yeah, the pessimistic side, all this doom and gloom is, yeah, it's we definitely have a surplus of that right now. I'd like to.
Oh yeah,
joke.
absolutely. And a lot of people here in the States, you know, with Trump and, you know, after January 6th, there's a lot of people were feeling down. And I think that there is a bit of a shift that has happened since Biden taken office, that people are starting to feel more hopeful since the inauguration. So, is there anything else that you'd like to share? Any seminal moments of either what you've gone through this past, how long has it been? Like 8 months that you've been practicing to today?
No, just that I think something that makes us pretty unique is that we work together. So I haven't yet come across other cuddlers who kind of work as a team together all the time. And that's something that a lot of our clients really appreciate and really like. Not only, as I said earlier, like the complementary skills and backgrounds, but also just having two people with different energies. In person, it's been the most noticeable is some people might be in different moments, even within a session, might be really drawn to you and or like averse to you, one or the other, and vice versa. Like it's playing with those energies a little bit. I wouldn't say it's like male female, but it's like kind of like the masculine-ish energy and the feminine-ish energy, and kind of playing with those a little bit. That has been really interesting to observe and to see in people. Yeah, I think it's been nice to have two people contribute to a session together. So I just wanted to add that.
Do you do tandem sessions where you both are present for the session?
That's what we do. So,
oh, that's the only way you do it. Oh, so you don't see clients individually?
No. We see them together, and it is just for that, like to offer, because we know, like, as much as we're complementary, we're also, Emma and I, like, we're very different people as well, and so, like, you know, there have been moments where, you know, a client will say, like, you know, they feel like with me in the room, they feel that kind of grounded, like almost like very strong energy that they feel like they don't have to be strong with, and they can be supported by. But then on the other side of them, they feel Emma, and they feel this almost like guardian angel kind of energy where they can really feel like supported, and like there's this softness. And so, and it's you know, when we talk about masculine and feminine, we're putting gender aside completely in that. We're talking about more so the softness and hardest that come across between people, and you know, she has like various qualities that are stronger in her. I have various qualities that are stronger in me, and yeah, so we just kind of allow like, I feel like it's one of those things where, because you're getting that contrast and that choice, like, I feel like for most people, you're not often going to be cuddling with two people at the same time, and so it lets you kind of feel and kind of be a little bit unapologetic of like, oh, this feels better from this person, or I kind of want more of this, or I like, what does this feel like, or you could ask, like, could you do it more like this other person, or it's just it's such a, I feel like just it's something that I feel most people don't really get. You know, we don't. How many people are in a cuddle pal? How many people are cuddling with more one person, unless it's their friends, or sorry, unless it's their family or their children?
Parties,
yeah. So.
Yeah.
I know three practitioners who did tandem sessions, but having somebody who's in a relationship, which is that accurate? Yeah, just making sure, and both doing it together. So I've done a tandem session with another practitioner that I didn't know. But we shared a client, and that left me feeling really awkward. afterwards. There wasn't a clear, even though the practitioner and I talked beforehand, I was left feeling uncomfortable with some odd kind of energy. But this is something that I've always wanted. I've always wanted a partner that I could not only grow the business with, but also offer tandem sessions with somebody who we understood, both of us, what the goal was and what we're doing and how to handle the client and lead them along the way. So I think it's so beautiful that you both are doing this together.
Well, it's like jamming, right? I mean, you're gonna have people that you connect with more, of course. So yeah, I'm sure there are people out there that like you'd be able to do that with for sure. It sounds only natural. Like I feel like if I did it, I could imagine some people if I did it with, like I would also feel very awkward with, and kind of feel like the body language communication wasn't quite there. I wouldn't feel like I was on the same page with the other person. There'd be a lot more time wondering, like, are we going in the same direction or not? Like, is this, which takes up space from the client. So
Exactly.
Being able to have someone who you don't have to even think about in that way, you just know that they're with you. It just offers it offers a space more for the client than each other, which is important, of course.
Right, absolutely.
I see like a teddy bear type thing in the background there.
Oh yeah, that's George. I had a office mate at my last office that I shared a space with, and her children named him George. Yeah, this is my little office that I have. So it works.
We have been like pleasantly surprised by is we've had a few clients bring like soft friends or teddy bears to their virtual sessions, and that's something that we play with more, and we've been playing with more and more lately, is just the feedback between them and their teddy bear, and like what that can, like there's a lot that we can play with in there. It's been fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've had clients who just want to kind of start off with the bear, holding the bear while we do the meditation or the sloth, and get comfortable with that. Specifically clients who are maybe on the spectrum or who have significant social anxiety, that's a good starting point for them. So that's wonderful. And where do you hold your sessions when they're in person?
We do it either at our place, the client's place, or public place.
Okay.
Most of the time it's been at our place because we've created a really nice spot. We have like lots of pillows and blankets, but we have lots of plants and fish and diffuser and music. And so we've created like a really kind of
relaxing little cuddle nest.
Yeah, and also during COVID, like during that time that we were able to see people, we were like sanitizing everything, like all the pillows and everything. So it was just easier to do it here.
So if someone wanted to get in touch with you, how would they go about doing that?
Yeah, so our website is thecuddlecouple.com, and then we are on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Clubhouse now.
Oh, yay!
And it's just the Cuddle Couple on all of those. So yeah, we're open to, DMs, private messages, like feel free to write to us. We're always willing to chat and share.
And do you prefer DMs over emails?
Yes. Yeah. Instagram DMs is where we live most of the time, but really anything.
Awesome. Well, Emma Pablo, thank you so much for the short notice and us being able to do this and making the time to share, and for everything that you're doing in your community, because I think we're all doing something incredibly special, just doing our part.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us.